There is a moment, silent, subtle, unexpected, when she finally feels something she didn't expect to feel. Not excitement, not freedom, not relief. She feels you. She feels the absence. She feels the silence. She feels the shift she never thought would affect her. Most men think no contact is about ignoring her, punishing her, or playing mind games. But the real power of no contact is deeper, psychological, and far more invisible. No contact works because it exposes something she never expected. Your value when you are not available. At first, she thought she could replace your presence, distract herself, run toward something new, or escape the intensity she once felt around you. But the moment you withdrew, calmly, without drama, without excuses, without chasing, she entered a psychological space she didn't prepare for. A space where your silence feels louder than her words, your absence feels heavier than her attention, and your discipline feels stronger than her emotional games. What she didn't realize is that no contact does not start when you stop talking. It starts when you stop carrying her emotionally, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop trying to fix what she broke, when you stop waiting for her to choose you. When you pull your energy back and give it to yourself, her subconscious mind picks up the shift instantly. She begins to compare the man you were, the one who cared too much, with the man you've become, the one who doesn't need her to feel whole. And that contrast is what creates emotional pressure inside her. She feels your silence not as absence, but as a mirror that reflects her choices, her mistakes, her assumptions, her overconfidence, her expectations, and the way she treated you when she believed you would always be there. No contact works, because you are no longer participating in the dynamic that once fed her ego. You're no longer giving her your attention for free. You're no longer giving her reassurance she didn't earn. You're no longer giving her access to your emotions. And this is why she feels your silence. She lost something she didn't think she'd lose. Your availability, your consistency, your presence, your energy. She notices the shift even if she pretends she doesn't. She feels the gap even if she hides it. She thinks about you even when she tries not to. Because your silence changes the power dynamic. It forces her to sit with her thoughts instead of using your attention to distract herself. No contact is not about her. It's about you reclaiming your emotional independence. It's about showing, not telling, that you respect yourself enough to walk away from what isn't mutual. And that silent self-respect is what she feels the most. It's the proof no contact works. Not because she comes back, but because you rise. And when she finally feels that shift, she realizes the man she once took for granted is the man she can't stop thinking about now. Before we start, a quick reminder. The real transformation doesn't happen on YouTube. It happens inside the community. If these videos have opened your eyes, what's inside will rebuild your mindset completely. It's not just a course. It's a brotherhood, a private space where men master attraction, emotional control, and the psychology of power. You don't join for a month, you join for life. Every future course, book, and lesson is yours forever. No subscriptions, no limits. Just one decision that changes your direction. If you're serious about growth, discipline, and purpose, click the link below. Join the community. Enroll once, grow forever. Let's dive in. Section 1. The shift she never expected. When you stop reaching out, she doesn't feel it immediately. At first, she enjoys the space. She tells herself she needed distance. She convinces herself that silence feels good. She thinks she's in control. She believes you're still emotionally anchored to her, still waiting, still available the moment she decides to come back. But as time passes, something begins to shift inside her. Not because of what you're doing, but because of what you're not doing. The absence of your effort changes the psychological frame of the entire connection. She expected you to panic. She expected you to double text. She expected you to notice her pullback and chase harder. But instead, you did nothing. And that nothing becomes everything. Women are highly attuned to emotional patterns. They don't notice your words. They notice your consistency. And when the consistency disappears, her subconscious mind feels it before she consciously realizes it. The moment you stop checking her stories, stop reacting to her mood swings, stop trying to interpret her mixed signals, stop giving emotional comfort without receiving anything back, she feels a disturbance. Not because silence is painful, but because silence is unusual. She was used to your presence being available on demand. She was used to your emotional signals confirming her importance. She was used to being the center of your attention. When that energy disappears, it creates psychological uncertainty. Uncertainty is what triggers her mind. She begins to wonder why you're so silent. She begins to imagine scenarios she never considered. Is he moving on? Does he not care anymore? Did I overestimate my importance? Did he finally get tired? These questions appear slowly at first, then aggressively. This is the moment she realizes the truth she never expected. Your energy wasn't dependent on her. Your energy was something you chose to give. And now that you're not giving it, she feels the loss like a gap in her emotional world. No contact works because it forces her to face the consequences of her own behavior without you softening the impact. Every time you chased, you protected her from feeling loss. Every time you explained yourself, you reassured her importance. Every time you tried to fix things, you removed the pressure that should have been on her. Your silence puts the pressure back where it belongs. She starts revisiting memories she ignored. She starts replaying conversations where she dismissed you. She starts noticing the value she overlooked. Everything she pushed aside begins to surface because silence activates reflection, and reflection activates longing. The real shift happens when she realizes something that scares her more than losing you. She no longer feels certain about you. This uncertainty is the birthplace of attraction. It's the birthplace of curiosity. It's the birthplace of regret. And it's the birthplace of her emotional investment. She begins to feel your absence not as emptiness, but as a wake-up call. A call that says, the man who cared deeply is now the man who can walk away. And that realization changes everything. Section 2. How your silence becomes her mirror. When you disappear into silence, something powerful begins to happen inside her mind. Your silence becomes a mirror, a psychological reflection of everything she has done, said, ignored, dismissed, or taken for granted. As long as you were present, she could avoid this mirror. Your effort kept her comfortable. Your messages reassured her. Your reactions validated her. Your presence softened her choices. But when you remove all of that, she is forced to face herself, without you protecting her from her own reflection. At first, she tries to push the mirror away. She distracts herself, goes out, spends time with friends, scrolls through social media, or tries to convince herself that she doesn't care. But the mirror follows her everywhere. Silence doesn't go away. It stays. And the more she tries to escape it, the more she sees what she was unable to see when you were present. The difference between how she expected you to behave and how you're actually behaving now. Women have a natural instinct to test emotional boundaries, even without realizing it. They test to see how deeply you care, how quickly you react, how much you're willing to tolerate. But once you stop responding to those tests, once you disappear into silence, she begins to see the truth. You weren't desperate. You were invested. You weren't weak. You were loyal. You weren't clingy. You were caring. And now, without your presence, she sees that everything she dismissed was actually valuable. Your silence becomes a reflection of her treatment. If she was inconsistent, your silence highlights it. If she took you for granted, your silence magnifies it. If she pushed you away, your silence makes her feel the distance she created. It's not revenge. It's not manipulation. It's simple psychology. Removing your energy reveals the weight of it. This is why she begins to feel uneasy. She realizes that the man she thought would always be there is no longer reacting emotionally. And that shift reveals something she never noticed before: how much she depended on your emotional presence to feel validated, admired, or desired. But the mirror also shows her something deeper: who you are becoming without her. She sees a man who is calm, focused, building himself, and not collapsing over her absence. She sees strength she didn't expect. She senses growth she didn't witness. And this triggers a new emotional response inside her: curiosity mixed with regret. She begins to wonder what changed. She wonders if she misread you. She wonders if you were stronger than she thought. She wonders if she underestimated your worth. Your silence shows her something words never could. You're not the man who needed her. You're the man who chose her. And once a woman realizes she was chosen but no longer is, the mirror becomes impossible to ignore. She feels the emotional consequences of her decisions. She sees her role in the distance. And for the first time, she begins to understand something she couldn't see when you were trying. Your silence has more power than your strongest arguments. Section 3. The moment she starts feeling the loss. There is always a specific moment, a turning point, when the silence shifts from being something she can ignore to something she can no longer escape. It's subtle at first. She might check your profile more often. She might open your messages out of habit and realize there are none. She might wait for a notification that never comes. But slowly, her mind begins to create emotional pressure. She starts to feel the loss, not because you stopped talking, but because she finally realizes how much she depended on your emotional presence without acknowledging it. At first, she tells herself it's just curiosity. But the human mind doesn't react this strongly to curiosity. What she's feeling is the loss of emotional security. The security you used to provide through your consistency, your attention, your warmth, your guidance, and your loyalty. When she feels the absence of that emotional security, her subconscious begins to panic. Not in a dramatic way, but in a way that creates small, persistent thoughts. Why hasn't he said anything? Did he move on? Is he changing? Is he better without me? These questions create emotional tension, and that tension becomes the beginning of her attachment. Women feel loss more intensely when they realize they didn't expect it. When she walked away, she believed she had all the time in the world to decide. She believed you would always be available. She believed your door would remain open. But when she sees that you've actually closed that door, not with anger, but with maturity and self-respect, her emotional landscape changes. She feels something she didn't feel when you were trying: your value. No contact works because it removes familiarity. Familiarity is what made her comfortable. Familiarity made her underestimate you. Familiarity made her believe you were always one message away. But when you withdraw, she sees the version of you she had forgotten existed, the version of you who has options, discipline, purpose, and the ability to detach. And this version of you is far more attractive than the one she walked away from. The moment she starts feeling the loss is also the moment she begins to compare you with everyone else in her life. Every interaction she has, every conversation, every date, every moment of silence, everything becomes filtered through the memory of how you made her feel. Not the arguments, not the mistakes, not the disagreements. She starts remembering the warmth, the connection, the admiration, and the unique emotional bond she didn't think she would miss. This comparison creates emotional friction that no distraction can fix. The most powerful moment in no contact is when she realizes you're not waiting. She feels the shift in your energy. She sees your focus changing. She senses your growth, even if she can't see it directly. And the worst part for her is this: she no longer knows how you feel. Your silence removes her emotional safety net. She can't predict you anymore. She can't read you anymore. She can't control the narrative anymore. And that uncertainty is what makes her feel the loss the hardest. This is the moment she understands something profound. You didn't lose her. She lost the version of you that would never walk away. Section 4. Why your distance now feels more powerful than your presence did before. When you were present, calling, texting, trying, caring, your value was invisible to her. Not because she didn't appreciate you, but because she expected your presence. She believed your effort was guaranteed. She thought your love was unconditional, no matter how she acted. But when you stepped back into no contact, something unexpected happened. Your distance became more powerful than your presence ever was. And this is where women feel the deepest shift. Distance forces her mind into overdrive. She begins to feel emotions she never associated with you before. Curiosity, confusion, tension, fear of loss, and the emotional spark that comes from uncertainty. This is the same psychological effect that causes humans to value what they lose more than what they keep. It's not manipulation. It's the natural response to losing something meaningful. When your presence disappeared, she didn't just lose you. She lost the emotional comfort you provided. She lost the version of herself who felt safe, knowing you were always there. And now she feels your absence in a way that cuts deeper than she expected. Distance becomes powerful because it rewrites her internal narrative. Before, she thought you were predictable. Now she realizes she doesn't know you at all. She thought you were emotionally available. Now she wonders whether you've emotionally detached. She thought you needed her attention. Now she sees that you're thriving without it. This shift shakes her confidence, not in herself, but in the assumptions she made about you. She begins to question everything she believed about your connection. The emotional control she assumed she had, the grip she thought she maintained, the importance she believed she held. Your distance also creates a new emotional contrast. Before no contact, she saw the version of you who gave too much. Now she sees the version of you who gives nothing. And the version that gives nothing suddenly feels rare, strong, disciplined, and mysterious. Women are wired to be drawn to strength, stability, and self-respect. When you withdraw with dignity, not anger, not coldness, but calm emotional control, it signals all three. This new version of you forces her to see what she ignored, your standards, your boundaries, your self-worth. But here's the deeper psychological truth. Distance forces her to imagine your life without her. And imagination is more powerful than reality. She imagines you laughing with someone else. She imagines you becoming stronger. She imagines you building your life, leveling up, moving forward, forgetting her, replacing her. She imagines scenarios she never worried about before. This isn't insecurity. This is the emotional cost of losing a man she thought she could keep without effort. Your distance now holds more power because it represents a man she didn't know existed. A man who chooses himself. A man who protects his peace. A man who respects his worth. A man who doesn't chase. A man who walks away with grace instead of anger. This version of you is the one she feels the strongest. This is the version she remembers in silence. And this is the version she fears losing forever. In her mind, your distance now means one thing. You're not the man she left behind. You're the man she misjudged. Section 5. The silent proof. No contact is working. The most powerful proof that no contact is working is always silent. She won't announce it. She won't confess it. She won't suddenly become emotional and tell you she misses you. Instead, the signs appear quietly. Subtle shifts in her behavior, her curiosity, her energy, and the way she engages with your absence. These signs aren't random. They are psychological responses to loss, uncertainty, and the return of your self-respect. And once these signs begin to show, you'll know she feels the impact of your silence more deeply than she ever felt your presence. The first silent proof is inconsistency in her behavior. She might watch your stories but not like them. She might ask mutual friends about you. She might appear active online at the same time you do. These things are never accidents. They are emotional impulses. She wants to know where you stand, but she doesn't want you to know she's looking. Her ego wants to protect her, but her heart wants reassurance. That internal conflict is a sign no contact is working. The second silent proof is the shift in her emotional tone. Even if she reaches out casually, the tone is different. It's softer, more careful, less confident. She's not reaching out for conversation. She's reaching out for reassurance that she didn't lose you completely. She might send a small message, an indirect question, or even a joke. But beneath it is the fear of what your silence means. She's trying to peek into your emotional world without exposing hers. The third proof is her reactive behavior. She might start posting subtle hints online, pictures designed to get your attention, quotes about growth, sadness, or independence, or moments she wants you to see. Women do this when they feel the emotional distance. It's not to show you her life, it's to provoke a response. When you give no reaction, you reinforce the power of your silence. She feels the gap growing, and that creates emotional gravity pulling her back toward you. The fourth silent proof is her emotional confusion. She begins to feel things that don't align with her original decision. She remembers the good moments more than the bad. She questions why she walked away. She starts rethinking the assumptions she made about you. She wonders if she misjudged your worth. And most importantly, she worries she may have pushed away a man who was rare, one who cared, who gave effort, who showed loyalty, but who also has the strength to walk away when disrespected. But the most important silent proof, the strongest one, is your transformation. No contact becomes undeniably effective when you stop being the man she remembers. When your energy shifts. When your actions align with self-respect. When your silence isn't a tactic, but a lifestyle. When you stop thinking about what she's doing and start thinking about who you're becoming. That is when no contact reaches its full power. Not when she comes back, but when you finally rise. No contact works because it forces her to feel what life is like without you. It forces her to face the weight of your absence. It forces her to confront the value she overlooked. And the moment she feels that weight, the moment she senses that the man who always stayed is now the man who can stay away, she realizes something she wasn't prepared to feel. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of strength. At the end of it all, no contact isn't about her missing you. It's about her finally feeling the weight of what she took for granted. When you step back, not in anger, not in revenge, not in panic, but in pure self-respect, something changes inside her. She begins to feel the emotional shift she never expected, the realization that you were not just another man in her life. You were a source of stability, attention, warmth, consistency, and presence. And now that you're gone, the silence reveals everything. She feels the distance. She feels the uncertainty. She feels the loss she never prepared for. She feels the gap your absence creates in her emotional world. She feels the version of you that is growing without her. She feels the truth she ignored. You were valuable. But the most important part is this. Your silence proves everything you tried to explain with words. Every lesson she ignored, every warning she dismissed, every effort she failed to appreciate. All of it becomes clear through the absence of your energy. You didn't convince her by talking. You convinced her by walking away. That is what makes no contact so powerful. It removes your voice and replaces it with your growth. It removes your effort and replaces it with your discipline. It removes your presence and replaces it with your self-respect. And ironically, that's what she feels the most. Not your anger, not your disappointment, not your frustration. She feels your elevation. She feels your detachment. She feels your emotional independence. She feels the shift that says, I won't chase what doesn't choose me. I won't fight for someone who doesn't fight for me. I won't disrespect myself to make you comfortable. And once a woman feels that, deeply, silently, undeniably, everything changes. She can't see you the same way again. She can't assume she still has you. She can't rely on your love being unconditional. Your silence becomes your transformation, and your transformation becomes the proof that no contact isn't just working. It's reshaping the entire dynamic. Whether she reaches out or stays silent, whether she returns or keeps her distance, the real success is this. You became stronger in the process. You became grounded. You became emotionally disciplined. You became the man who can walk away respectfully, gracefully, and confidently. And that alone is enough to shift every connection you will ever experience in the future. No contact works because it brings out the version of you that she didn't expect, the version that knows his worth. And once she feels that version of you, truly feels it, one thing becomes clear. She didn't lose the man who stayed. She lost the man who finally chose himself. Remember, knowledge means nothing without action. If you're ready to rise above emotion and lead with purpose, join the community today at the link below. Enroll once, grow forever.